So we were talking about relations, which is some rule that associates one set of information with another set of information. We're going to talk about a couple of new words that we're going to be using quite a bit in future years, grade 11 and grade 12. These three words here. When we talk about the domain of a relation, we are referring to all the elements in the first set of info. Or the x values. So if I show you a relation as a set of ordered pairs, the domain would be all the first words or numbers in the ordered pairs, the first ones. If I showed it to you as a table, the domain would be all the words or numbers in the first column. If I showed it to you as a graph, the domain would be all the words or numbers on the horizontal axis. The range would be all the elements in the second. Or the y values. And a function is a type of relation where every domain element, whether it's a number or a word or a letter, is associated with exactly one range element. Now that's a pretty fancy way of saying this. Domain never repeats. That's really the easy way how you can tell if a relation is a function. Excuse me. The domain words or the domain values never repeat. So let's just look at some examples. So let's say we want to associate the last 4 months of a year with the number of days in that month. Okay, so that's the rule. How many days, like the last 4 months, and then how many days are in each. So if I wrote it as a set of ordered pairs, remember always put braces to start. Well, the last 4 months of the year started where? September. And what's the rule? How many days are in this month? 30. So that's one pair in the relation. The next pair would be the next month, October, which has 31. The next pair would be November, 30. And the final pair would be December 31. So not a big relation, only four things in it. So if I asked you what the domain was, it's all the first elements. So you would write September, October, November, December. That would be the domain. That's it. The range would be all the second elements, and you don't have to write ones that repeat. So it'd be just 30 and 31. That's it. Okay.
But we'll do some examples.
But the other thing I want to know, is this relation a function?
Yes.
Why?
Each month only appears once.
Right. Remember what I said about a function? Domain elements, values, or words never repeat. Does September, do any of the months repeat? No. So, is a function. And the reason why domain, I know they're not values, but I'm going to put values anyway because we're going to deal with numbers. Never repeats. That's the explanation, very simple. But what if we reversed it? What if we wrote the number of days, then the month that has that many days? Well, then we would have to reverse everything. We get 30 September, 31 October, 30 November, and 31 December. And the domain and range would reverse. Domain would be just 30 and 31. Range would be the 4 months. Is this one a function?
No.
No. Why?
Because they repeat.
Right. No. 30 and 31 repeat. That's the easiest way to tell whether a relation's a function or not. I know I gave you the fancy mathematical definition, but really it just comes down to the domain repeating or not. Okay. Okay. Let's have a look at these two relations. One is a set of ordered pairs. The other is an arrow diagram. For each one, you are asked to write the domain, the range, and then state whether it's a function or not. So for the first one, the ordered pairs, and we can just put capital D for domain. And again, we open it with braces. What are all the first elements? Right triangle, cube triangle, square, rectangle, regular hexagon. That's it. You just list all the first values in each pair. In this case, words. And the range would be values. Remember, you don't, if it occurs more than once, you don't have to write it twice. You only have to write it once. So what numbers would I write?
1, 0,
1, 0, 4. That's it. I don't have to write the 4 twice. I don't have to write the 0 twice. Is it a function?
Yes.
Yes.
Again, because if you look at the domain, and I'll even put it in quotations because they're values don't repeat. Okay. Okay, the arrow diagram. Now we're getting into numbers. What's the domain?
149.
149, that's it. What's the range?
Two negative one.
Be a little bit careful with. Is it a function? Why?
Because the one is going to put the first one and the second one.
Notice we've got two arrows coming out of the one. That means the one repeats. 1, -1, and 1, 1. Same with the 4. The 4 repeats too. 4, -2, 4, 2. So no, because 1 and 4 repeat. So that's how you tell if an arrow diagram's a function or not. If it's got more than one arrow coming out of the first oval, out of one of those elements, it's not a function. When we talk about the domain and range, we can also use independent and dependent variables. Okay? The independent that's really the domain. So in this case, it would be hours worked. Or we were asked to list them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The dependent is the second column. Which contains all the range. So in this case, it would be gross pay.
Do we know the difference between gross pay and net pay? Okay, gross pay is what you get before any deductions are taken off. Okay. So for example, if you have a job and let's say you're 18 years old and you have to pay taxes, then you would get a paycheck and part of it would go to income tax. So your gross pay would be how much before all the deductions were gone. Your net pay is what's left after.
And if we were asked to list them, we would list these 5 numbers. So just remember, with ordered pairs, those represent the domain. Those represent the range. If you've got a table, okay, this is the domain. Whatever's in here, this is the range. And this would be the independent variable. And this would be the dependent variable. If you have a graph. Okay? All the numbers on here would represent the domains. All the numbers on the vertical axis would represent the range. And the title of the horizontal axis would be the independent variable. And the title of the range would be the dependent variable.
That's how you can tell. And because we're going to start working with just numbers, we can also show relations using equations, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
So for the next example, we see that we've got a relation in a table
Where the first set of elements is the number of marbles, and the second set is their mass.
and we are asked the following.
Is this a function?
Yes.
Why?
If first element is a lower.
Right, remember, this is a domain. Any repeats? No. So if there are no repeats, yes. Domain values don't repeat. Okay. It's the independent variable, number of marbles. It's the title of the first column. And therefore, the dependent variable would be the mass of the marbles. Then finally, the domain and range. Well, domain, open braces, and just list all the numbers you see in the domain or the first column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the range, open a set of braces, and it would be all the numbers you see in the second. 1.27, 2.54, 3.81, 5.08, 6.35, and 7.62. Okay.
I'm actually going to stop there, and we'll finish it on Wednesday.
Because I want you to get a little practice with this first.